finally we've been able to touch base again. I guess you've had time to settle back into daily life in Melbourne. Let's just take it back to that evening in Vancouver. How did you find yourself in a basement in Vancouver in mid-2013?
Yeah, that is an interesting question. It was Youth for Children's second, I'll call it North American tour. I guess the first one. We were just in the United States, but we came back for the second tour, and that Vancouver show was actually our first date of the tour. When we came for the first time in 2010, we actually we finished our tour in the West Coast in the States, playing in Portland and Seattle, and we played with the band Wall, which Jensen from Iron Lung, and the Iron Lung, the band, and of course the label. We met him, and then he ended up putting out our album that came out in 2012, and then once they did that, I guess we were keen to come back to North America, and they basically organised us to go on tour with Dream Decay, who were from Seattle, and also had an album come out on Iron Lung. I think that came out this year. And so we went on a little bit of a West Coast North American tour, which was pretty fun. And starting in a basement show in Vancouver, I think the show kind of got sort of up in the air whether it was going to happen or not, and I think it might have moved venue at some point. I can't really remember, but it ended up being a pretty cool little basement show. So, yeah.
It was. And that was the extent of your Canadian travels, like just literally across the border and down to the States?
Yeah, we came up like in the I think we weren't quite there for 24 hours. So actually an old friend of mine, she's Canadian and she lives in Vancouver. So I lived with her when she was living in Australia for a bit, and so she took me on a bit of a tour of the city, so I got to have a bit of a look around. But yeah, we weren't there for very long, so that was still 15 whilst I was there.
It was fortuitous to meet you. I'm curious how it went for you then for the remainder of the tour down the west coast of the US.
We had a really great tour. I guess personally it was by far the most fun I've ever had on tour. There are a number of factors behind that. We all got along really well with the Dream Decay guys, and they were a really good match for us in terms of the shows. I guess with our kind of music, it doesn't really fit in a lot of the times with. It's a hard thing to place, so sometimes the bands you're playing with, it doesn't really fit. But with Dream Decay, we paired together well, and it made for an interesting night. It was a lot of fun, and a lot of the shows were really good, and the weather was awesome. And we sort of bought a lot of records and met a lot of people, and it was really fun. Yeah.
Well, and you definitely would have given people a full load of your music, which is very, very intense. I was absolutely blown away by your show. For listeners who aren't familiar, how can you describe your uncompromising kind of wall of sound? Like, how would you describe Useless Children?
It's one of the actually just putting slotting it into a label or a genre has always been a kind of difficult task. I guess I typically say to people, we're very heavy and we're very loud and quite intense. And at the live show, there are no gaps between the songs. We fill it all up with noise, and there's a lot of effects on the vocals, and there's a lot of distortion on the guitars, and it's all. It really all leads to being part of that, all-encompassing experience that I guess we're aiming for. To really just get that kick in the gut.
Yeah, that's an accurate description. You feel it in your body, and it's actually quite exhilarating. and you did mention the distorted guitar tones, and I know that your big influence is Magic Dirt, and they were a band very close to my heart growing up. For Canadian listeners, they're pretty much unheard of here for most people. What could you tell listeners about this band? I mean, Australians of our age who love music, they're just such a pivotal band. What can you tell listeners about Magic Dirt, and I guess how you discovered them in your youth?
Well, yeah, I think they formed in 1992, and they started putting stuff out in about 1993. So it was right at that, the beginning of the wave of the grunge kind of movement, and I guess more alternative rock becoming a big thing. And their first two EPs that they put out independently in Australia, there's kind of like this poppy but big guitar sound, great solos, and the Adelita, the singer and guitarist, is a very striking performer, and those first two EPs kind of they sold lots and lots of copies, and they were going to be the next best thing, and then they got signed to a major label, and then they just continued doing exactly what they wanted to do, and they kind of took a bit more of a turn down the weird heavy rock, well, not heavy rock, but very coyote, heavy, intense. Of course, disappeared on a major label. Didn't necessarily make a lot of people happy, and I think it was one of those one of the main things I learned from them was always that, you've got to do your own thing, and don't worry about what impact that has outside of the impact that your art has. You can't worry about what people are going to think, and they kind of pursue that for their whole career. And they put out a lot of really good albums, and they played a lot of really good live shows. But yeah, I think they were always a frustration to the music industry, because people thought they were going to be this huge mixed rock and roll band, and they were like, no, we're Magic Dirt. And so, that was one of the, that's what I always took from it anyway. It was just, they always did their own thing. It's kind of like that Neil Young. You look at his career and you look at all the stuff that he's all over you kind of look at it as all over the place. But really, if he had done anything else, he never would, it would have ended a long, long time ago. But yeah, Magic Dirt were, I used to, they were from Geelong, and then moved up to Melbourne. And I think it was the other half of your question, how did I get to see them? I first saw them in 1996. They were playing a Sunday afternoon festival out near where I lived in the back of a truck, and I'd only seen a handful of bands at that point. I was really into music already, but I'd only had a few concert experiences, and then I just saw this band, and it was loud and it was raucous, and they were rocking, and I just remember I just started playing guitar as well at this point, and it was the first time I'd ever seen anyone use a wah-wah pedal. And I literally left just going, I have to get a wah-wah pedal, and it was the first pedal I ended up getting. When I was 14 or 15, I would have got a wah-wah pedal for Christmas or my birthday or whatever. And, well, I guess as you saw when we were in Vancouver, we sort of taken the pedal thing to an extreme. That was one of those foundation moments where I was saying, oh yeah, guitar pedals. And then, I'd go and see Magic Dirt all the time. Once I turned 18 and I could get into pubs, we'd go and see them all the time. And me and a friend would be right up the front, on the barrier, staring at the pedal boards, watching them, what they did with their pedal, because they were a very big exponent to feedback and delay and noise and bringing in intensity through sonics, really, which is something we really tried to explore a lot with Useless Children.
Yeah.
They've been, especially on me, they had a very big impact on Australian rock and roll, but yeah, they're sort of one of those huge bands for me.
Yeah. Just, I mean, yeah, the right time really to influence a lot of people, I think. I'm curious myself. I don't know if you can explain in any more detail, like like the that quintessential Magic Dirt sound. Like what pedals did they use and how? Like, is it even possible to say briefly? Like,
yeah. Well, Adelita's, she always used the Boss DS1, and she used to run that into the Roland JC120, which is just a transistor amp. So that was, it's not very cool in terms of, guitar nerd things, but that was her sound, and in particular, those amps have a built-in chorus and tremolo section. So quite a lot of the time, she'd flick that on and jam a guitar against the amp, and it would make this ridiculous, feedback sound, which is pretty then. But the other guitarist and Dean with big muffs were the main distortion. They're very big, very distorted sounding pedal, and then sort of a couple of other distortions, and then delays and wah-wah pedals were the big ones. Actually, there's a pedal that Dean came up with a guitar and pedal manufacturer who runs out of Brisbane in Australia, and they call it the big bottom pedal, and it's basically a frequency splitter pedal. So sometimes when you're using guitar pedals on bass, they don't work quite so well. So this thing basically allows you to keep your good whole bass sound and still use all these really cool effects. And actually on the last Useless Children album, I used that for a lot of things, like some of the sounds and the weird noises would not be feasible without using this pedal and being able to use the loop. It's a tin guitar, big bottom, and full. If anyone wants to look at that, there, I don't know if a bass player that likes to use effects pedals, you kind of need to get one. And yeah, the Magic Dirt. What else? Yeah, basically the distortions and the delays were the big springers, I guess. There.
Yeah, and actually, just for the show, is there which Magic Dirt song would you like us to play?
Yeah, I think play Ice. I love that song. It's
2 minutes remaining for this call.
I don't know what it would have been, 94, 95. It was one of the sort of biggest songs. It's got the guitar riff, bass riff, it's just so great. And it's got this ridiculous sound at the end of it, where it's like, apparently it was a pedal breaking, or the power supply got pulled out of it. You kind of just hear it going.
In fact, you're not only as an influence, but now in your current life, you've maintained a connection to the band, even after the demise of the band with the tragic passing of Dean, the bassist, and Adelita, the singer, is now a successful solo artist in her own right, and listeners would have heard me play her songs quite a bit. You were actually her guitar tech, is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct. Dean passed away in 2009, and then her first solo album came out in 2011, and when she started doing shows, she first just asked me to drive her to shows because she didn't have a driver's license yet, but then I started doing that, and I'm kind of obsessed with guitars and happy to help, so I just sort of started taking over, looking after the guitars for her. So I've been doing that, on and off. It's kind of a weekend job that I do. Because 3 years and years of going to see Magic Dirt, and just hanging around in Melbourne, just became friends with Adelita's a great person to be with. So it's it's always fun, and I still adore getting to see her play.
Hmm.
It's really nice for me. But she's supporting Leonard Cohen next week actually at a winery down in Geelong.
Oh wow!
I know it's like one of the. I saw Neil Young down there actually earlier in the year with like 15,000 people on this giant bill. So yeah, I'm looking forward to
Wow.
going down and tuning guitars at a Leonard Cohen show. It's like all these. It was from I get to come all the way over the other side of the world to play in a basement in Vancouver, and then it's quite interesting to have to be able to go along to one of these to a Leonard bloody Cohen show. Oh, this is a bit different. So yeah, I'm quite looking forward to that. But yeah, it's been tuning guitars and hanging out at gigs. I'd quite happily do that any day of the week, really. So yeah, fun when you can do it for a great artist.
That's right, and she is remarkable. We've played a lot of her music here. Is there any talk of her pushing her stuff overseas and stuff like that?
Yeah, she definitely would like to do it. I guess it's one of those, practical things of feasibility of being able to do it and what support you can get to do it. But yeah, I know she would like to do it. Magic Dirt toured in the States in like '96, I think. They did a tour with Archers Aloe for like a month, and I think that's the only time they went over, and they did Europe, like in Japan. But I'd like to think she would tour over there soon. That'd be really great.
Yeah,
she's such a fantastic artist. It's still like I've seen her countless times, and even when I'm working, madly tuning a guitar mid-song, and it's like still just there's moments where you just go, wow, hell of a talent.
Well, both of you can expect plenty of support here if she ever did make it on this way, and yourself, of course. Just getting back to your music too, I noticed I was really quite drawn to the video that you produced there with David Yao of the Jesus Lizard in your music video. It's such a great video, and for listeners who aren't familiar, David Yao is the singer of Jesus Lizard, who is Jesus Lizard, a seminal kind of noise rock band from the States. What is the narrative that's happening in the video? It's got David Yao just kind of looking crazy as he does and running around a lot. He looks very paranoid and hurried, but was there any particular narrative stream meant to be running through the video?
Not really any more than you described.
Yeah.
That was really hands-off for us. Our friend Adam Harding, he's someone I met through Magic Bird. Like he was Geelong as well, and so I got introduced to him through the Magic Bird people, and then he's got a project going now called Dumb Numbers. Actually, an album came out a couple of months ago. I'm playing around. He's based in LA now, anyway. But he was living back in Melbourne a couple of years ago, and just before he went to the States, our album was coming out, and we basically just talked to him about doing a video, and so he's like, yeah, okay, I'll do it before. And then one day we got an email from Adam just saying, I was hanging out, and the other day, David Yao, Adam is friends with Lou Barlow, and he was hanging out at his house, and David Yao just happened to come out, and he said, I want to be into acting. And so Adam's like, well, do you want to be in a film clip? And he's like, sure. So Adam just sends us an email, he's like, what do you guys think of that? And we're like, that sounds like a pretty good idea, go for it. So, that was, a month or two later, he just sent us the first and final edit of the clip, and we went, yeah, that's great. And that was it. It's like, it's a very, the song that it was for is a very heavy, meant to be disconcerting, and the video carries that on. It's quite a performance from David. To meet him when we were in LA, he came to our show there, and so really hung out, and our guitarist Rob just asking the questions all night. It was pretty fun.
Yeah, he's quite a legend. And it's a good performance. It's kind of like Jack Nicholson a little bit from The Shining, kind of that real intense kind of yeah.
Yeah, he's got that, it's like an air bubble around them or something, when they're there. Like,
yeah.
Kind of feel them come into the room, that kind of vibe.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh well, we'll definitely post that on the show blog. It's quite a great clip.